And although she hasn't done the Southern States 200, if you look up here, she has a fairly impressive resume, to say the least. Um, Among other things, last year she set the all-time record at Merrill's Mile, which is probably the most miserable, stupid race I've ever run in my life. And I think this will be my 10th year to do it. But if you're not familiar with it, it's in Dahlonega, Georgia, on July 4th weekend. And it's on a loop totally exposed to the sun all day. I mean, it doesn't get more miserable than that. Then, to make it worse, it's always before that trip down here. Yeah. It always a storm hits. Right, because generally the worst ones are when they hit right as it's getting dark, then you're freezing and you're wet. Anyway, it's miserable. And she also did one other little thing. She ran across the United States, north, south, to north.
Yeah.
So, anyway, this is a little introduction.
So technically, she has done a 200 mile.
Once was when I was told somebody, whose name I will not mention, that you were going to speak. She said, "She's not human." What human does that? Anyway.
Okay, so I got into running. I ran a cross country in high school, then I went to college and did run again. My dad started running when he was 50 or 60, yeah. One of the two. He was older. And he would run marathons. And I thought, well, I want to do a marathon with my dad. So I started training for marathon, and then I got a calf. I had shin splits, and so I was done. He said, I was done. Well, that just wasn't fun. I didn't want to exercise anymore. And so I didn't run again until my oldest daughter went to college, and I was in her bathroom. I got on the scale at my daughter's school, and saw what it said, and I got to do something. And I started hiking out at Oak Mountain 3 times a week, pretty religiously. And I didn't run, but my dad asked me if we could do a turkey trot that year. And I thought, well, we signed up for turkey trot for my dad. Of course, I'm for the longer distance because I'm extreme with everything I could do. And so ran a 10K, which we parlayed into a half marathon, which we parlayed into the marathon. So between when I started running at 42, I think 2016, and then 17 was the half marathon, 17, that was February, Mercedes, kind of 18 was the full marathon. And then I continued running a couple of marathons, and then I saw this ad out at Oak Mountain on one of the billboards that said 18 miles Otter Hill. I go, oh, okay, well, I'll do that. That'll be fun. And so my husband and I signed up for that. Well, there's the 9 and the 18. Well, we can do marathons. Let's just sign up for the 18. And it's not the same as the road. And on my second loop, in particular, I remember being in Peavine Falls. It's up in the Mountain Steel. And I remember thinking how I was going to get a life flight out. It was going to cost because I was so thirsty and tired. And I didn't think I was going to make it. And so anyway, we continued to do trails. The next trail race we did was the Run for Kids, and it's when there was still a 50K. And so that was our second trail run. And that went better than the Hotter Hell. And then I ran, my first 100 was on it was a 24-hour race, but it was on like a 5-mile loop or trail. But then my first trail race was 10, I was no business. It's not up there. It was no business. And that's when I started training now that Oak Mountain. And that's when I met Bob Waters, who's Donna Erickson in the Friday morning boat group. And Bob was also doing somebody that year. So I got to get a lot of good information from him, except for the fact if I had run as little as Bob runs, I would have never made it. I run a lot more business, I think, and leading up to training than maybe is necessary. I used to. Uh, I didn't know much and just kind of went from what people told me for my first 100. And uh, the night before no business, we had the dinner, and the doctor for the race was speaking. He said, I know y'all know not to become dehydrated, but I want to tell you about overhydration. And I'm not, I trained them out, I'm like, what's he talking about? You know, and I just stopped listening about that time. The next day, I'm running, and I start noticing my hands were huge. They were so swollen. I was falling all over the place. I feel a little personal, but it just things, my back was really, really bad. Well, come to find out I had drank too much water. So some of it is very, very important to watch your water intake, to watch your electrolytes, to balance it. Don't just drink water. And I think that's what I was doing. I was not taking any electrolytes, and maybe that was, and I'm a thirsty girl. I sweat a lot, so I drink a lot of water. And I got to mile 70 where the doctor was and made me sit down and eat some chips. And I didn't even know pillow better, but I told him I did. And you know, when I finished it, but that's that I think believe that happened to me and when he gets this year. So it's a thing. So don't become dehydrated, but don't overhydrate. That's just, I guess, in your training, you know. So hydrate and eat what you plan on doing during the race. And I said, take in all those calories. When you're in a race, there's been so many races I do not want to eat. And that can be the downfall of a race. You just get out there and you start running so hard and it gets harder and then you lose your appetite. But I think if you train your stomach, to take in the amount of calories it's going to take for you to finish that race. This is something I'm just learning, I'm just putting to use myself. You've got to have those calories, you've got to have the hydration. You need to do that before the race. Make sure you know you have that all dialed in because it's so different for everybody. Especially with the hydration. I know everybody knows you have to have calories and carbs, but to get your hydration down is something that I think is really important. And I think when it comes to races like this, you really need to get out on the trails. Like everyone has said, wear your pack. I hate wearing my pack. It hates it hurts. And by me, I get cuts, and I don't like filling it up, but it's something that's really important. I ran Cocodona this past year, last year. Yeah, last year. And they require you to leave with 4 liters of water. So that's a lot of water. And it's the first 30-something miles, you know, there's no 80%. And it's in the heat of Phoenix. And it's up straight up a hill. About 10,000 feet a gain. And I think there's one little 6 to 8 miles in, and then there's nothing for another 28 miles, something like this. And you've got to make sure that you have that pack on. I somehow made it without doing too much training because right here, when that was over, I kind of sat down. Just kind of, I didn't expect to, but I signed up for Cocodona right in the middle of that right there. Again, I'll just run through this and how short the race was in the fall. But that really set me into like a speaker, but it's not work here. But what I'm saying is, after this, it was so hard, and Cocodona was really the first big race. I call it Couch to Cocodona, is really what I did, because I sat out for the rest of the fall and most of the spring, and I started training again like February, March for Cocodona in May. And I always started wearing my pack more, but thank goodness it wasn't an issue, but do wear your pack, fill it up. Strength training is very important for me. When I have been doing my strength training, which is usually I take every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I go to not every time, but Monday, Wednesday, Friday, there's a class that is a high intensity class. We do weights, but not heavy weights. I don't lift heavy weights, but we 10-pounders, and we do all sorts of things and spurts like that. Or it helps me feel strong on my core, and the stronger you feel your core feels, the more upright you can be. You the less tired and the less effort you have to get. Everyone's going to tell you to walk the hills and run the flats and mountains. Mention that whenever you feel like you're giving too much energy on a certain run, just dial it back, and it will pay itself forward. But yeah, I think weight training is really important for me. Everything is so individualized. Yeah, the mountain ones I don't usually try to do well. That one was fun. That one was the first time they had their 200. And going out, we had to do it, but we didn't have markers. So we had to do it with our GPS on the way out. And I know, David, you're using Gaia, is that correct? You're doing Gaia? Okay. Get to know that app. It saved me at Moab. I mean, because David and I went out and did a practice run, and it saved us. You just need to know that app and know how it functions and which way the arrow goes and which way you should go. If I don't know, if you get a GPS for this one for your watch, you can download that GPS. That's very important. Other than that, yeah, practice the hills. I go out to Oak Mountain and I run up and down Yellow White and not run. Some months. Mostly it's a hike. It's a big hike. But I think if you do that, just get your volume, and the volume's different for everybody. Bob can show up to a race and have run 5 miles and finish in style, and I can't do that. But everybody's volume is going to differ from person to person, and I'm not quoting the injury. That's my one superpower is I just can wake up the next day and feel fine. So, are we talking about sleep?
Not yet.
Okay. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, I've been able to run the long distances because I can regenerate. Well, but I'm not a good runner. I'm not the best runner out there, and you don't have to do these races. You don't have to be the best. You don't have to be the fastest. You don't have to have. You can do it. I sure will. And mentally, just know you can do it. You can do it. If you've been training, you've been out there. I mean, something can happen. You can have an injury. Well, maybe don't make your injury worse. But one race, it was like Martin. The first year I was signed up for the 100. You got cold, and I had to change shoes. And you know how when your hands get cold and it's hard to tie your shoelaces, and it's about mile 75, and I couldn't get my shoelace tied. And I went and sat in David's truck, and it was nice and warm in there, and I hated in my bibas to go in to Mary. So I regret that to this day. If you're gonna go through uncomfortable areas during your ride, it's just gonna happen. It's not gonna all be snowing. Just know if you drop for a reason like you were called, you're gonna regret it and it's gonna hurt much worse than that race will ever. So I do watch out for injuries. I wouldn't say run through an injury, but run through uncomfortableness, get ready. But if when you finish, it'll be worth it. I don't know what else. I guess that's it. Then that'll be fun.
I have a question about your race across the US. How many miles did you average a day?
41. Some days, 3 days off. Just because when it's like too far. That alarm clock was really awful. Every morning, and there would be times I would be in bed and wake up the next morning with food just all over the place because I would fall asleep eating. I'd get up and eat, and it was crazy. Some days I wouldn't start till later, but that was fun.
When sorry, did did a Barcelona or?
I had a little friend named Paul, and he was 21, 22 at the time, and it was his idea. And he called me and he asked me if I would do it with him. And I assumed his mother wanted him to have a show with him. And so I said, of course, because I'm always up for whatever. I like crazy stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I say, but of course, that's one of those things. And I said, yeah. I never thought it would happen. Never. I thought he's a kid. He's gonna. Don't talk about it, Paul, because I know we're not gonna do it. And I didn't talk about it too much beforehand. And day 4, Paul didn't want to do it anymore. And so it was either I wanted to go on something just to go, just see how far you can go and see break. So it wasn't my idea, but I think it was meant to happen. It was just beautiful. It was beautiful. And I was doing it. It was a charity that we were doing it for, and I kind of wanted to go on for the charity as well. I never thought I would make it. I thought I was gonna just watch Paul, hang out with Paul and watch over him until I couldn't do it, and I would prove Paul. But no, I went all the way, and the last day was the day I hurt. So I think your body kind of knows when it needs to shut down and shut down last day. But it was fun. So I didn't have any epiphany to do it. It was just a friend of mine, but I would do it again in a heartbeat. I would. If anyone understands to do anything, which y'all are doing if y'all do the 200, it's just like that on a bigger scale, but it's just like that kind of just on the road. Okay, so it's not like that. It's kind of like that. Yeah, y'all will love it. Y'all will love doing the 200 and have fun. Just make sure you have fun. You'll be miserable. You'll be happy. You'll laugh. Make friends on the trail. Trail runners gotta love it. Everybody loves each other. Everybody will help you. So I don't know. I'll say even y'all, but this would be an amazing race. That's right. The weather's good too.
I'll say one thing. One of the most impressive things I've ever seen was in 2022 and last year in Merrill's Mile. Watching me just on, running when everybody else is dying. She's out there running. And people were the first day were like, she can't do it. If she does, and that's true. I mean, daily eat Next you know, just unbearable. People, the way I do it, I get a sock, fill it with ice, put it around my neck. It'll last 3 laps, then you gotta refill it. And, well, at my face, not her face, but anyway, impressive.
And that's
Thank you.
but yeah.
Okay. Next. Now, y'all be real nice to this person. She's very shy. I don't put that for her to come here and talk. But one of the reasons that I wanted to talk to you and talk is because that's her knee, how long ago?
3 years, 2 years.
And it's literally, she had to go back and learn, teach herself to walk again. And now she's doing 200-mile races. So,
So I'm Tanya, for whoever doesn't know me. I started running as a New Year's resolution. I ripped out like one of those capture 5Ks when magazines were thing, and I hated every second of it. And that was a long time ago, and here I am now. I feel like my running is split into the before and after my knee surgery. So like when I was younger, and it's not from running. Like, spoiler alert, I have deformities and like I have osteochondral defects in my legs that we discovered accidentally. But before, like I did the Cody 100, and that was my first 100, and I did all of David's races, and like I ran a pretty good pace and a pretty good clip, and I was like, this is awesome. And then I did one of my hundreds, my second 100, out in Washington State, is Cascade Crest, and I finished it, and my knee was like the size of a grapefruit. And I was like, oh, it makes sense. This is the Hard Rock qualifier, this is a mountain race. And like, I was sitting on the plane and I had to cut my pants because my knee wouldn't fit. I was like, it's fine. So then I did it the 400s. And then I was running a 12-hour race and nothing happened. Like, my knee just stopped working. And there was a volunteer there. She's like, I can audibly hear your knee clicking. I think you tore your meniscus. And I was like, okay. It happens. Yeah, that sucks. And so I went in to have my meniscus repaired. And my surgeon was like, wait, don't do that. Like, yeah, yes, your meniscus is torn, but everything else is too. Like, your bones are messed up, you don't have any cartilage. Like, how are you sure you've been running on this? So then what we did was that basically, and people call it runner's knee. It's just mine is a weird, more extreme form of it. So it's like bone on bone, and both my knees will now only the spine sit. My kneecaps sit sideways and crooked. So when your knees hurt, and if you have arthritis or if you have cartilage issues, like you feel that, especially when you're pressing down, like you feel that pressure, your joints swell. I didn't know that my bones were just in the right place. So they took my kneecap off, they rebroke my tibia, they broke my femur, and just realigned them all and screwed them all back together with a bunch of like new cadaver ligaments. But they told me, they were like, right now, your chance of running again is like slim to no, like hard stop. Or like, if you do the surgery, your chance of running is slim to we have no idea. Because so many runners, like I think there's only like 2 athletes that we know of, like endurance ultra athletes in the country that have had this surgery. And one of them can't run over 50 miles, like she physically can't. So they're like, we don't know. So then, post-surgery, relearning to walk. It took me a long time to learn how to walk. And then started to run again. And that's how I got into 200s because I became an ultra runner. Like, I spent 15 months walking and improving my walking pace and relearning my gait. And for long distances, I think like 50%, I think very about. You need to keep your heart rate low. You need to have as little effort as possible for as long as possible. And so I just knew how to walk. And literally, that's what I did for the most part. Like, I mean, it's, if you can keep a fast enough gait, and if you can keep a power hike, so like a power hike, like I can walk flat road in 13 minute mile. Not bad. And then if I'm hiking, I can, hike a little bit faster. And then if I run, obviously I'm a little bit faster. But that's the great thing about 200s is you have so much time. You have so much time. And I didn't know that. So when I was doing my first venture again after surgery, I was just so nervous. I was like, I don't know. We have no idea. Surgeons don't know. Like nobody knows if I can physically run 100 miles. And I'm out there again in Washington State, and I was with a bunch of women who were training. They're running the 100 to train for 200. And I'm like, oh, like running. Why are you running 100? And why are you even what? And so like we spent obviously 100 miles together, and they convinced me that, especially with like when you eat and hike, power hiking and everything, they're like, you're perfect for 200. So I was like, okay, I'll think about this some. I ended up doing very well at that race and beat a bunch of people. So I was like, okay. So if I'm power hiking fast enough to place, like on the podium, maybe I could do 200. So I called David because he was the only one I knew well enough in Birmingham. So we're like, hey, should I do this? And he's like, yeah, just don't sign up for any yet because there's something coming. So what I did for Southern States was I just practiced hiking all the time. Like people said, heavy pack, practice my calories. I really practiced, which we'll get into. I had a very specific like sleep training that I did. But the entire time, I based everything on what other 200 plus mile runners told me. So I knew to keep my heart rate low in training. Like it does you no good to elevate your heart rate in the beginning, like the first 10 miles, and then you have 190 miles to go. Like, so there's a guy who lives in New Hampshire. He's placed in a lot of 200 across the country. He does a lot of self-supported 200s. He called me and he was like, three things. Don't get behind on your sleep. Like don't pay attention to what anybody else is doing. Do not get behind on your sleep. If something's bothering you on your feet, fix it immediately. Like stop right there, carry things with you. He's like, you can't come back from sleep, you can't come back from like major feet things. And he's like, do not let your heart rate go up. If you are breathing heavy, then you're going too fast. He's like, I don't care if you're doing a 30-minute mile. If you're breathing heavy, your body is exuding or too much energy. You need to slow it down, get it back regulated, and then you go. And shit, he was right. So Southern States starts in Dalton. And we had a bit of a road, which was great because then it kind of thins the pack. But everybody took off like a bat out of hell. And I was like, I need my plan. And everyone took off, and then I looked, and then the other people took off, and everyone took off, and I looked, like 2 people behind me. I'm like, okay, I noticed the plan, but also kids, we're doing like 8-minute miles. And so we have, 199.5 to go. And then the first night, I knew I was gonna get tired. And it just depends on, we all know, like if you've done 100, we can run 100 miles without sleep. You can run 150 miles without sleep. So I was like, let's just see how far I can go. And I hit one of the aid stations, and I wasn't planning on sleeping yet. But before the aid station, there was a creek, river, there's something. And I looked at it, and I was like, oh, the road is shiny on the top. Okay. It's like, no, the road is wet. So this is the road, this is water. And I was like, how do I cross it? Like, how do I cross the river? Obviously, you go straight. Like, we know that. So I was like, I'm tired enough now that I'm not thinking clearly. I need to stop, get to the aid station, sleep for 45 minutes, which we'll get to, I guess, at some point. Like, I need 45 minutes with my cycling. And I told my crew that, and they were like, okay. And then they woke me up, and they were like, you're last. Like everyone took off. Nobody has to say, like, we hope you didn't mess up your race. We did what you told us to do and let you sleep. And spoiler alert, like I was fine. And then at the end, I was like literally hurtling over runners who were sleeping on the trail. But yeah, basically Don't breathe heavy, don't get your heart rate up, don't pay attention to what anyone else is doing, run your own race, sleep, and make sure you're okay. Questions?
And that's, I don't know who starts at me, everybody's now is like, you know, you're in the morning, you get them all shut down before the 12 o'clock start, like, I've never had a break where I started at 12, you do like 4 o'clock in the morning, like 8 o'clock in the morning, and all that, sometimes bad.
I practiced that also, like I would wait to do my runs midday, wait to do my runs in the evening. I tried to sleep for as long as I could that morning, but I didn't take a nap. It just kind of, and of course you're excited. And so the day of and the night before don't really matter as much as all the sleep leading up to it. So I was just like, I don't know, wake up at like 8 or 9, like as long as I possibly could, and then slowly get ready to out to start. Unless you take the shuttle, and then you have to wake up at like after crack of dawn. So I stayed in Dalton, so that might change.
Have you done 100 where you had a noon start?
I actually just remember I had a 400 race when we started at 12.
Yeah.
I tried to know how to do that.
Yeah.
Like she said, you know, I just try to stay in bed, as late as I can, you know, go eat breakfast, and just relax, you know. Go out for a run.
One of the things about it, plan that last and mule, and eat something, that's why I was doing an hour first to the emotion.
Yeah.
I think it'll be your last meal.
Yeah.
I eat a big, like, for 100, I eat a light breakfast. For a noon start, I eat a regular breakfast and then stop lunch, a couple hours. So, yeah, that is tough.
Everybody in adults.
Tony could not make it, and which would have been interesting because she's Brazilian, even though she lives in Florida. And you can't understand anything she says. She sends us a text, and Mary Jo and I have to just literally decipher it to figure out what she meant, because a lot of times it sounds the opposite of what she actually intended to say, but she's probably one of the most amazing people I've ever met. And I mean, if you look at the things she does, I found this amazing. She did Cocodona 250 on May 6th, ran the Coral Jewel on May 17th. Anything to do with the Coral Jewel is a hard rock qualifier and has 33,000 feet of elevation gain. I mean, I wouldn't even be able to walk at that point, but she did. Then we did the Gray 100, what's that? Whatever, many weeks later, which is probably the hardest. Hard rock is bad. This has 10,000 more feet of elevation gain than hard rock on the same mountains. Anyway, just like that. Living in Florida, you gotta be crazy. I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with these races. A lot of trail runners are not. They all take place on snow. Pull a sled with your supply. And going to the next, well, this is her races. You know, that's what you do. But anyway, I'm going to the next one and then go back. This is also the result of doing races like that. So, you know, it's a little scary because it's the kind of thing that, you know, you mess up in a 200 or 100 miles, you have to quit, maybe you have to walk out to get transportation back if you die doing things. So anyway, but what I wanted to do though was talk about real briefly her training because it's a little surprising. It's different. You would think doing, and these races also, if you notice, the short ones are 100 miles. And the one she's doing, go back to that first thing. The one she's doing next month is 380 miles. It starts north of the end of the Iditarod 1000. I mean, anyway, it's stuff I can't even comprehend or try to comprehend. But she doesn't run a lot. She does 6 days a week, 2 hours a day of weight training. And she does lightweight. She does 3 reps of 15 of whatever she does. So it's light enough she can do that. And she also does training on the beach, pulling weights in a bag behind her to get accustomed to pulling the sled. And I don't understand how she makes a transition from down near Bruce that she lives. Not Homestead. Anyway, way south to go run the track. But that's beside the point. But that's her training. She does one 12, 14-mile run a week, and that is her total run training. But then you don't run much doing this. You know, it's mostly walking because of pulling the sled. It's just tough running. And I want to say one thing just from my perspective, because everybody that's taught today is young, even Bob. He may not be as young as some, but they're all younger than me. But what everybody said about the multi-day back-to-back training runs is absolutely critical, whatever. I do hours, I don't do miles because it's embarrassing to look at the miles I cover. But I'll do, like when I was getting ready to run Moab, I did back-to-back, 12 hours and 10 hours or something like that. My standard run, like once every 5 days, was 12 hours. And it wasn't much, mostly hikes because I go over to the park and I just go up and down the mountain and back. And so it lets me adjust my distance without dying and also try to carry everything I'm going to need, which meant in the summer, I mean, I would put 2 full-size bladders into my hydration bag. I bought you don't need it for this race because you don't have the problem here of never having access to water. And if you have a water filter, just like the one you repaired, that's a anyway. I have the very catadine. Yeah, I've got the very same one, and with that you get water anywhere. It's when I'm not running out of water, except along the ridges. You know, there's no water up there. But I put enough water for a 12-hour run in summer, which carried with it, and very rarely did I have to use my catadine filter bottle. I also learned be sure and rinse it out when you get through. I went out to use it one time and started, and it was totally stopped up. And all you have to do is put it in filtered water for about 5 minutes, and it cleans it. But I couldn't get any water, so I had to go back to my truck and quit because I was almost out. But you know, that kind of training is what I do, and it worked because when I went to Moab, I was in condition I should have finished, but just messing up along the way killed me. But anyway, it's just those back-to-back runs. I started a month out, and I only did 3 sets up, and I felt like I was totally right. That's the biggest key, I think. Unfortunately, you don't do anywhere near enough weight work, as Mary Jo could tell you, because she almost has pushed me to be the gym because I don't like it. But anyway, let's get on with okay, what we're going to do next. Now we're going to go back around and since we got okay, pacing, sleep. We pretty well, I think we pretty well covered staying hydrated just in the conversation, and staying on fuels. And does anybody feel like you have more to say on those subjects other than what you said?
On sleep,
Was that
on sleep or on?
on sleep?
Yeah, I'd like to talk about
That is the critical thing that I didn't understand, and a lot of people don't understand. And I'll go from my perspective, but everybody talk about sleep. What else do we have? Actually, refer back to this thing. Anything else on staying hydrated that you haven't covered,
One
eating
by one.
during the run?
Let's go one by one. Let's talk about these first.
Okay,
Yeah,
Go.
I have a couple that, mostly about sleep that I was writing down, but, when I did Tahoe, I was really conservative, honestly. What everybody says is, one, I didn't want to go out there and do that. And so that was a big deal, so I was very, very conservative and, kind of prioritize that a lot. I think it's a really, really valuable thing to do. I think it's really important. But I think that I learned from that having like a really specific strategy and being able to adapt as needed, was a lot more efficient, than just, I'm gonna sleep and I'm gonna sleep for however long I think I need. So I took 7 states super different and I went into it saying, again, everybody has a very unique way of doing it, but for us, as a team, my husband and I, we decided to sleep the first night and then sleep at the fast aid station after nightfall, for safety to my income. And that was kind of my plan. And it worked really well. I got to the first night aid station on 92. And he was there and had a good bit of experience. That was after I think Flagpole Mountain or something, right after the ATV situation. And it had just got dark, so I hopped in our Jeep and I slept in there, for I think exactly like about 15 or 80 minutes. And then the main thing that I think can be really helpful is kind of like, you have so much time in these races, you cannot have a big assessment. And I think like it's really easy to think, well, I'm not fast enough, but you can be efficient. And when you walk into the aid station and your crew can tell you, okay, these are the list of the things that we're gonna do in the time that you're sleeping. And then you wake up and it's like, here's your caffeine, here is your toothbrush, here is your food, here I'm changing your shoes, I'm doing all these things for you. If you have that luxury, and if you don't, having it lined up, even though it's written down the steps you need to do to get yourself back out. Because it's really easy, and I've seen this, as a crew member in the distances. Actually, my brother who did it, and it was like, walk in and you're tired and you sit down, and then you're trying to figure out what to do, and you're losing so much time. So even if you feel like you walk in there ready to sleep, and then, my husband has a Jeep, sound machine on, earplugs, anything I could have needed to like chill for a sec. I wiped myself down, but woke up and I was ready to go, even if you caffeine, and it was like, you gotta get back out. And that's not a matter of whatever position you're at in the race. You don't want to lose time by staying up. Like that's not where you are. You can have so much of it, but it is precious. So that's pretty much what I would say with sleep is whatever your strategy is, you can do more or less. So with that, I also think that like if you can have a natural wake cycle, so if you're going into the future right before the sun's going to come up, and you can get that nap in then, fantastic. If it's right after nightfall and you want to get it in then and get up for the night, I think that can be really helpful too. But if you can ideally get it in, I know some people like to do it during the hotter times of the day. However you prefer to do it, but have a plan and then be ready to adapt. But most of all, be ready to execute the minute that you hop into that aid station, you just get right back out. In mind. She said.
So, like she said, know how you're gonna respond, right? Some people, sleep 30 minutes, some take multiple small naps, and that works really well for them. For me, I slept one time for 3 hours. I did that at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on the second day, when it was the hottest part of the day. So that means that when I sleep, there's a big timing difference. So I change clothes, I wipe down, everywhere that's plenty or you rub, all those places, right? You guys probably know this, body digests about 300 calories an hour, different person to person. And so if you're eating more than that, you're just carrying it with you, right? I knew I was gonna sleep for 3 hours, so I ate about half of the calories. The only chance to catch up on your calories, same with hydration, drink a bunch of water. You're the only time you're actually gonna catch up on your hydration if you do a long swim like that. I had lists for my crew before I go swim. I'm gonna do these things. When I wake up, we're gonna do these. While I'm asleep, make sure these things are taken care of, right? We do those lists for every stop. Not, like we have a standard, hey, you have water, you need to add food, you need to eat stuff, when you hurt, you need to change shoes. We just go down it because when you're coming in, you're frazzled and you have an immediate problem, like it's really easy to step on that. Now you're running out of there with a problem pack full and not having food for the next 18 months. That kind of stuff. The other thing I would say is, don't change how long or what your plan to sleep is unless there's a really big reason, right? Like when you sleep, that be flexible, whatever works for you, that's one thing. But like, so I knew I was sleeping for a long, and I knew coming in that I was out front. Thank you. Coming in, and so I didn't care where anyone else in the race was, or what was going on in the race, after I woke up. I knew I was only gonna sleep one. And so I woke up right as another guy was coming in. I had my watch, and I didn't know if I've been asleep 10 minutes, that's the next runner, and I'll lose 3 hours, or am I done sleeping and, I'm gonna start catching up with you. And it turned out that I was 5 minutes ahead of my alarm, it was great, we got out. If it had been the opposite, probably would have had a harder time going back to sleep. But I absolutely would not have changed, because I've already done the first half hour, right? And so I spent that time and I needed to sleep. And I was able to move through the rest of the race, feeling pretty good, normal amount of tired legs. I didn't have to take a dirt bath, and I had tried that before, and I crossed for 3 hours. So I know that works for me. It's, on the running cycle is about an hour and a half. So unless you know that a short nap works for you, I would suggest and try to sleep some multiple of that because it's going to fit into your natural self. Then the last thing when you get up, regardless of long sleep, short sleep, don't just light out of there. For me, I felt really good. I had a pacer with me. We were ready to go. I walked out of the aid station with food and hiked the first about mile. Get warmed back up, right? You don't want to pull something, have do yourself disservice. And so those are practice how you're going to sleep, right? I think we've all said that a bunch of times. So whatever you think you're going to do, make sure it works. You don't want to try too many new things.
Or fall behind James. I, I had at my first 200 mile, this was a big unknown really, as far as how was I going to, I had decided on sleep when I feel tired. Go to the point is when you're tired, I'll let yourself get extra tired. Get sleep. You have to do it again. Whenever it occurred, it occurred. At that race, I waited a little bit too long. I got to the point in about 5 miles before I was to be back at the main aid station. And down at the very lowest point in the course, you got 2 mile climb coming up. I got to that transition point where literally I took one step and flat. I just fell asleep out there on the wall. Woke up, when I woke up, I didn't know how long it had been. I was there 5 minutes, I don't know if it mattered. Turns out it wasn't very long. But I still don't know, it's probably around 10 minutes. It's, got up and came back in that 5 miles took me, I guess, about an hour and a half, hour 45, something like that to get back. And then went back and slept for 3 hours. takes another hour to clean up a little bit, change the clothes. Ate a really good meal. I guess nutrition for the section. I mean, had a really good meal. And got back out on the trail and for that first sleep, I'm gonna tell you mileage is not time. Really time. It was 8 miles and 100 miles. Came back in, I was tired. It was about the right time of the day. My plan mostly was to sleep in the hot part of the day. So I raced in late April, in Fontaine here. I don't do well at heat. So I was like, I won't be out of the sun. I'll be out of the heat. Luckily, both of those sleeps were in the hottest part of the day. Second one was about 2 hours. And then same thing, I'm getting changed and all that, now I get another 30, 45 minutes in. And so I had 70 miles left, and at that point, I'm not about to get off the trail. So I did, there were a couple of points where I did have to, I just hit my eyes. And that course, unfortunately, had a whole bunch of things metal. The five and spot to lay down, it's kind of rough. I was able to lay down a little bit, and then my people hurt it so bad, I couldn't believe it. Touch the book. Close my eyes for a few minutes, and then get back up and get back. And that's another thing. It was a mile 170 when I realized I hadn't changed the shoe because my people hurt me so bad because my people hurt me so bad. I really, probably should do that. So I'm planning to in around 120 miles. So getting a fresh pair of shoes on at 170 is life changing. Going into southern states, I had a little bit more of a all on sleep. I was gonna do shorter. I didn't feel like I needed the amount of sleep that it might have been a little bit of detriment to sleep that long, get up and try to start moving again. It could be the age difference. I don't know. But everything got a little tighter with the longer sleep. So
Did you do
I
something?
gone in planning.
Let me do
sleep for
this.
about 1 hour.
If you would take the van and go down to Target
The
and buy two
the thing that I have
6 foot
learned
folding
is
tables or whatever they are.
maybe that's how
Because Logan needs them and I
where
couldn't do anything.
it's home, close again, I sleep in bags and stuff. And I prefer a 0 gravity. Get back and her chips scratch her off all 700 to lay on the ground. And get some good. I can solve pretty well in that 0 gravity. So, I didn't like the way that the space stations lined up. First would be about 70. And I had figured just roughly that that was going to be impressive stations. And that's my ideal sleep time. I really wanted to get some base breaks. So like we're having 127%. Yeah. Okay. Find out. Yeah. But the second sleep got a stage spring, and I'm in those guys. Then the third sleep station is cold and late, about almost 2. So, so my preferred plan was to get to I figured the way of course I could get to but I came off the mountain there, we'll have thing range. Like I'm tired of like why get on this long road stretch? I don't have to. I was a mistake later. It's fine. And I got my time and my 1 hour sleep. I get food. Now back on the course, but you don't have 30 miles to get into Cave Springs and that. Unfortunately, most of it is on exposure. I think for just about everybody, probably did that dark. It was miserable during cars coming by 7 miles an hour on 2 lane road. No shoulder. And sorry, but the people live there for miles, you just go in there, sit under one of their oak trees, they'll come out and I'll be the water. There is about 10 miles outside of Big Springs, there's a Dollar General and it has ice cold water. Wow. Got 1 liter bottles, one out on my drain, the other I pour it on my head as I do what I can. Big Springs got good sleep now, good meal. Yeah. Where he had his one and only sleep was, I took a rest there, I came in the morning. I didn't think much way after the ATV period. And, they took us for me breakfast. Really good stuff. You know, and I didn't get a full flat sleep. There was one of the things I really wanted to run and get moving. And so I sat down in a chair and, he stopped screaming at that point. He like really almost about 5 minutes. I hit the trail and within about 30 minutes, my eyes were closed. Pretty much from that point out, I was fine. Which goes back to, stood down and, they're taking advantage of Share at Coleman Lake. And I got 1 hour there, so I had 3 1 hour sleep. And when you're on 50 miles from the finish line, you really don't feel like you should be sleeping with we starting into the night at that point, so actually want to. But I did have somebody that we had spent a good time from about mile 125 who really about the 170. We pretty much together at that point. So they'd be wanting to sleep, I'd be wanting to sleep, and we were kind of helping each other from that standpoint. There are several, even when you're on the gravel road stretches in Allegheny National Forest, there are points where you can jump down and feel some water, you feel the water and pull that over the head. Hopefully you won't be an issue, you don't have to worry about doing that. Ventilation up is have a little harsher. By the time I hit that last aid station, the last 9 miles, you're getting there. But you can't make it that last mile. The last 9 miles, make it up and finish. How did you deal with the unintentional and I had mentioned earlier, I don't have a problem taking an hour and a half. Typically, if I feel like I need to rest, optionally, I set it in the wall. I get my phone out or I'm not real good to watch. So, I get my phone out for this like an 8 minute alarm, lay down, pop up in 8 minutes, and get ready to just close your eyes for that long. I think a lot of it does have to do with the fact that, especially at night, you don't blink as much, or I don't blink as much, so it's just coming at you in your eyes.
Well, I'm not really going to talk about that. So, I don't really go into races, to compete, especially because I know that it's one of the experience. So, I'm not usually going to participate at all. So, the first one I did, the first 200s I did was with my friend. And he likes to sleep a lot. So the first time was Moab. I think I got 3 or 4 hours sleep at night, if not more. But I never got tired, and the race was very fun. It was probably the best I felt I can't believe I said okay for 7 months. Second race I did at Cocodona here, he was having problems and he couldn't sleep. This is where I would say, run the road. I wish I would have. When he couldn't sleep, he thought, well, let's go on. Well, I could have, I planned to sleep 3 times. We planned to sleep twice. When he couldn't sleep, he woke me up and said, let's go. I said, it just said, you go and I'll catch up. But, he ended up getting a blister and falling behind. He had to walk. Well, anyway, point is, when I got to run my own race, I still had so much energy, but I was slow on sleep. So if you look at my Cocodona, if you look at it, I had all done it. But I'm guessing my second half was a lot faster than my first half because I didn't do too much running in my first half, which goes to keeping your heart rate down. I mean, lots of guys will tell that was big deal for me. So sleep, I want to sleep like here. Meryl smiled. I learned what I needed, and that is I need to go to sleep at least 2 hours a night. And the Margie Gassick, that was just a hot mess. So I mean, I'm not a good one to talk about it, but I know I need at least 2 hours, maybe 3 of sleep at night. I wake up, I'm a new person. At Margie Gassick, nobody could dictate it. I got to dictate what I slept. And yet, every time I woke up from my sleep, I would be running well as I was before I first started. Sleep is really important. And, well, I know that's not, I mean, I didn't have any conflict with Margie Gassick. It's just, you know, I needed to get in before it cut off and, I didn't get to sleep for the last 24 hours and the hallucinations they're real and they will take you down. So I would go ahead and try to sleep as much as possible. But I don't know, I can't say. Y'all got that. Seriously, I have 3 hours all the time, but at the same time, I think that's what I did at Cocodona. So, just, maybe practice, maybe do a night of practice if you're concerned about it. Stay up all night, get a little sleep, go back out. Get up in the middle of, I don't know what to do. I'm sorry, I should have just set the sleep part out. I'm just gonna step on, 2 hours is good for me.
So I did, opposite, I did practice, just because I didn't know how my body would react, like it was my first 200. And I wanted to eliminate any unknowns and as many variables as possible. So I used 2 different races to practice sleeping. One of them was David's Endless Miles, which is a 72-hour race. And my goal in that was to practice sleeping. And I set up my car exactly like I was going to for Southern States, and then I knew what to fix. I set up all my things exactly what like I was going to do for Southern States. So that like I had a crew at Southern States, but now I do this for self-supported races too, where if I know where everything is and I can practice sleeping and then grab and go, then that goes with what Ashley said. Like you take out time, you take out like, just the stress of worrying about things. For Endless Mile, I knew like I'm terrible at heat. So I tried to take a nap in the middle of the day and I slept for like 15 minutes and I woke up and I was kind of groggy. So I'm like, okay, that's not 15 minutes in the middle of the day is like gonna work for me. I learned that 45 minutes, so like is like the hour and a half cycle. I learned that I'm golden after 45 minutes, or an hour and a half, or in like incrementally. If I wake up in the middle of my sleep cycle, I feel awful. I feel so bad. I figured that out. And just that groggy feeling and like, oh, let me just hit snooze, let me just do that. Like that's it's not good for you physically because then you're sleeping longer than you may want to. And then B, like mentally, you might not be going back to sleep. You might just be tossing and turning. And then what I did also was like, I knew cleaning up, like changing clothes right away before I got stiff, washing up. And then when I woke up, I would brush my teeth. No matter what time of day or night, that kind of like reset my brain into, okay, it's a new day. It's not, I mean, it's all the same day. It's a new day. Let me brush my teeth and get going. And then I had my crew, they had a list of exactly what to do while I was sleeping so that I could just grab my pack and go. Like my food was ready, my caffeine was ready, my pack was packed. There were a couple of times I fell asleep while they were doing my feet. So like my feet were ready. And so that really helped. Again, for me, like, because I have anxiety. So I'm like, I want to know what I can prepare for and just eliminate that mental piece of it so that I'm relaxed and I've done it before and like I knew exactly what worked. I think there's only one time where I came into an aid station and I thought it was okay. And my crew was like, no, you're slurring your speech. You're kind of weaving back and forth. Like, you're going to take a quick nap here. And that worked out well. I know we had one of the, for southern states, one of the mandatory gear items is like an emergency blanket. So what I did was I packed a bivvy that you can get from RI, and it's like yay big, and I carried it. I had a fanny pack along with my pack. So I had my bivvy in my fanny pack, and then if I had needed a dirt nap, like you're cozy, it's a sleeping bag. Like you just get in and you take a nap. Thankfully I didn't need it, but if I did, like it would have been better than kind of rolling around in a messy blanket. So it's one way to, if you need to take a nap, then at least you're kind of protected from things.
So if you run by somebody taking a dirt nap, you silent, don't check. I mean, it's eerie to see somebody laying on the side of the trail and just be like, I'm out. Yeah, it's fine.
95% of the time, you should check on.
I mean, sometimes the person will kind of like stir and you're like, okay, they're alive. Like one of the people, like we literally stepped over and we checked on him though, because the smart thing to do is like take your steps off the trail, take 2 steps off the trail. This guy was laying like perpendicular to the trail. And so we're like, oh, did he just kind of fall there? Is he okay? So we nudged him and turned out he wasn't okay, like he was struggling. He's also really, he's an asshole. So he hadn't gotten enough sleep and we helped him and it was not, he didn't appreciate that. But he needed calories, he needed something. So yeah, he almost had his awful.
Trail.
Yeah.
Should have known. Get an ounce of dew on the trail. A question I have about for sleep features, it's growing for 100 is bigger than 200. If you're choosing, first of all, do you plan on sleeping by time of day or by HD? And the second part of that, if you're going to do a 2-hour nap in the view, where is your crew going to be for those 2 hours? What do they normally do? Are they just basically sitting outside?
Yeah, just watching you. Yeah, literally, they just.
And, adults with limited age that sleep station, but they sleep call.
Yeah.
So I guess that's two questions.
So, yeah, I based, like everyone else has kind of said, like I went by just your normal circadian rhythm. So like when the sun went down, I try to sleep. And then my crew kind of like we had set up sort of a plan. Okay, let's put my car had my sleep station in there. So let's make sure my car is here, here, and here. Like with like good spots. And then if I need to sleep elsewhere, then I'll figure it out on my own. Yeah, I just watch you entertain them.
No, I was just, I guess I was more curious, but trying to plan out. Right.
So what I did was, I took things I thought I would run. And one of them I said, all right, this way it's finished, which ended up being what, and I didn't. And I wanted it to be, the heat of the day. Because it was to be hot. That was a good time for reception. But the aid station before, I was feeling good, and I told my crew, I was like, let Darren know, because we were swapping pastries after the flood. I just said, let Darren know we're ready to run. I think I'm gonna keep going. I'm feeling good. Then we went over that damn mountain. And I was like, sorry, man, I'm sleeping here. But, yeah, we did kind of, I looked at what I thought my biggest, and we took the aid station. Okay, so.
Definitely, if you're going to use the sleep station, bring earplugs and like bring an eye mask or a butt, it doesn't matter. Because people who did use, like runners, I heard use sleep stations, but people are loud. And if you can't sleep right away, then you're just wasting time, you're just lying there. You're not moving forward, which forward is the best motion to go. You're not sleeping, you're just wasting time. So earplugs, they weigh nothing, put them in your pack, the bus. I think we need one, or you should have one. So.
Yeah, I forgot to talk about it. You wanna hold that up for me?
Sure.
All right, I like a block on that. I said I need to explain that. So if you're gonna sleep, right, that's an investment. Bring everything you need. I brought a sleep mask, I brought earplugs, I borrowed a blow up cot from a friend, I brought a sheet. I laid down, but almost, I brought my legs still, put my feet up. Right, my dad's truck was stuffed full of junk. We used most of it at one point or another. If you got crew, then you have the luxury and make use of it. Like, let's get it. Yeah.
You touched on this doing Bob too, but like elevating your feet, I think it makes a huge difference. Like it's so understated that like the blood will flow back to its core and it makes such a difference on those tired feet. I've done both inadvertently, not intending to, and it's like huge difference. So it's just like simple stuff like that. But if you have a crew that like, please remind me or please set this up. We have an air mattress that we just reverse and flip upside down. So it feels funny, but it's
Yes, I'll have to fix that. Definitely put your feet up. At that point, let the blood come in. Yeah.
And practice sleep like that. It helps the swelling go down and stuff too, right? When I stop, change shoes at an aid station, I put my feet up on the cooler, take my shoes off first, we do everything else before I put new shoes on. It might just be 2 minutes, so that 2 minutes I've got my feet up that, maybe I wouldn't have been able to do that. So it's, be efficient with your time.
Okay, I want to say a couple of things on it too, because I'm the perfect example of what not sleeping right correctly does. Get to 220 miles and 240-mile race after drop. It's because I did my sleep cycles back. I never slept at a moment. And I had no idea how the effect. I had thought about what you try to do with day race and practice, but I didn't have time to do it. At Curl Jewels, it's June or May before. Oh well, I decided to try to sleep. So Mary Jo pulled the truck up. I got there and slept 30 minutes. And it made the biggest, unbelievable difference. I felt great till the end of the break, which was surprising. So I thought, okay, that's what I need to do, sleep 30 minutes, first aid station, well, hour, 2 hours at the second, 3 hours at the rest. And by the second aid, sleep station, I'm sorry, aid station. So when I got into the 121-mile aid station came out, I felt pretty good. So I slept. My daughter paced me the next day, and we hadn't gone 2 miles. And she said, Dad, you're leaning, straighten up. I was like, I'm not leaning. Well, I was. And so that day, I could still run some, but once we got the next day session, I don't think I ran good. I could not run. And it throws everything. But it wasn't terrible that day. But the next day, I stayed on my sleep cycle. That night, I slept 3 hours. And I felt good for the first, I actually ran maybe most of the first 3 or 4 miles because it was downhill from Geyser Pass. And At that point, that was it. I had to start literally laying down on the ground and stretching every 100 yards. And it was, I never even considered that I wasn't going to finish until I got to the dirt road that's 7 miles to the last aid station. I got that one. I said, there's no way. And it took me probably, I don't even know how many hours. I wish Michael Stevens was here. He could tell just to get to that aid station. And it's because I should have slept, and I had the time. I still slept 4 or 5 hours at that first aid station, though, even though I didn't think I needed maybe 4 or 5 hours the next one. Then cut back to sleep early. Wait till the end to sleep. And because it was so bad, actually, Mary Jo's granddaughter-in-law was pacing me at that point. She said at one point I lay down on a rock and was snoring in 30 seconds. Of course, I have no memory of any of that. But so just, if you've got the time, there's plenty of time, and the cutoff, you're not rushed. Take the time to sleep more early and worry about, you need to make up some time. You won't have to, but just don't worry about trying to do cut back on the sleep early. On the course, as y'all were talking about, or Bob was talking about, that informal section of road, we're not doing that this year. And that's my fault, we did it. Because when I saw it, it's 2 miles shorter than actually following the Pentody. Wouldn't be traffic. I think because I wasn't there at rush hour. And so I thought, well, this is great. It's a straighter road. There's no cars. It's wide. And that was my mistake. So this year, we're going to actually follow the Pentody course, which you have either sidewalks or very wide shoulders all the way to where you hit a backcountry road that really doesn't have any traffic to go back to Cave Spring. That's going to make me different. The heat everybody experienced. I should have put that picture of you walking through Cave Spring. It's like you're about to die of heat. Doing it in March shouldn't be that way. Of course, it's been here in East Alabama. It should be a lot smoother. And that'll help. You still got to do the crew members' horror stories. And then Eric Dickerson showed up a few minutes ago, and I don't know how many messages, emails, and posts I saw praising that if had been him, they wouldn't fit it. He really is. He's amazing. He can do, if you fall down a cliff out there, and if you have a helicopter rescue, he set it up. That's his business. That's what he trains military and paramedics and all that kind of stuff. And he can tell you about that. But he also knows how to get your feet. It's just, I can guarantee you that 200 each single hardest part. Well, it's all hard, but that's, right. So let's take a little break. And we'll give Logan a chance to kind of get at least the person that'll have dinner for us tonight. And then we'll get right back here and get the crew stuff going.
My nose has been a lot of help because